Wow, God's faithfulness is very amazing to me because of the experiences that I've had in my life. He started teaching me pretty young. I was about 18 years old when I turned down scholarships to several universities here in the state of Texas in order to marry a man that I had known about 9 months. I felt that it was the right thing to do to marry him, but I didn't know exactly why. But about 8 months into our marriage, we discovered that Mark had cancer and he wouldn't be living much longer. So for the next 4.5 months, I endured the loss of my husband. He died on the day that we had married, July the 3rd. As I struggled with grief, with mourning, with loss, with loneliness, I would always hear these words come to me: I will redeem the day. I didn't really know what that meant. I tried to find them in the Bible, even though I was really mad at God for letting these things happen to me. I could never find those words, I will redeem the day. I was now 19 years old and so far in debt that I would never be able to see the outcome without some kind of intervention from God. We ended up in lawsuits regarding insurance. I would have my attorney take over some of these letters that I would be receiving in the mail, threatening me if I didn't pay. And that went on for 2 years, until one day I found myself in a courtroom with a jury and a judge. The judge came to us and said, I want to try to find a compromise. He left the bench. My lawyer looked at me and said, I've crossed over the line. I'm too emotionally involved, and now you're going to need to make this decision on your own. And he left me at the table. I turned around, and there stood my best friend, David Brewer. And I motioned for him to come forward because, you see, we had had several conversations about my desperate financial situation. And he said, Pam, you remember the conversation that we had 6 weeks ago? You told me if you got a certain amount of money to pay off those medical bills and finish your education, that you would be satisfied. He said, look at that number. It's the exact number. And at that point, I knew that God was telling me that it was time to lay down the gauntlet and to let God take over. I got the opportunity to pay my debt. And I would still hear those words, I will redeem the day. 2 more years go by. I end up marrying my best friend from high school. And I would still hear, I will redeem the day. Years go by, our children are born, they receive Jesus as their Savior, and I would still argue with God, I feel like the day has been redeemed. Until one day, our son, now in his 20s, comes in with his fiancée and say, Mom and Dad, we finally found a day where we can get married and have a honeymoon. It was the day, July the 3rd. So all of that pain and that loneliness, the grieving and the mourning that would hit me on that day every year has been redeemed because we have joy. We have a wedding. We have family. We have grandchildren because of that day. God's faithfulness may look dim to you, but it's very bright to Him. He has a plan, a program, and a purpose for your life, and He will show it to you if you will wait.